Hello and welcome back to KuziCast. This is your host, Mr. Kuzi, and welcome to the first episode of the Spartan Adda, where I will go around all over the Spartan community, where I will sit one on one or maybe more than one on one and have a good session, just chilling out with my fellow Spartans who have fought for the Snyder Cut. And today we have our first guest is none other than ding 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 Kalio. Kalio, you there, my friend?
Hi. Yep, right here.
All right, all right. It's good to have you here. We've been trying to get together for nearly 2 weeks now, because of our
It's good
time
to
differences. So,
yeah,
Calio,
yeah.
before we move on, just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, so on and so forth.
I currently stay in Texas. I've been an active member in the Snyder Cut community for about 2 years now, and I I'm just happy to finally get this thing released and we can finally see Zack Snyder's vision for the Justice League.
All right, all right. Good to know that. So, before we come back to the Snyder Cut, let us go back to the beginning. So, tell me about your story with the DC and the DCU. Where did it start?
Where did it start? That's a very interesting question because I actually didn't like Batman v Superman the first time I watched it. I was even
Ooh.
though I was like really young at the time, like I was a kid. Um, it wasn't. It felt weird to me. My reaction coming out of the theater wasn't. It wasn't like the way I want it to be. It felt like it felt almost disappointing to me. Like the story didn't really make sense, and I think that is mostly to do with the theatrical cut of the movie, and not the ultimate edition. But later down the road, when I watched the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman again, I actually enjoyed it. Like I really, really enjoyed the movie. I was and when I it's like um sorry. Sorry, just try to get my thoughts out.
No, no, no. That's fine. That's fine. It's okay. Go on. I'm here. I'm here. Go on.
So after I watched Batman v Superman and when I enjoyed it, I was like, man, whoever who made this movie really had a vision. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, so I have to watch the extended the ultimate cut now. I
Right.
have to watch it because like there was scenes I already saw on YouTube, but I wanted to get the full story.
Right.
Now, I've already seen all the scenes on YouTube before watching the theatrical cut again and enjoying it. So
Mm-hmm.
once I watched the ultimate cut, it was like I already knew what was gonna happen, but it was good to see the whole story, and it felt really good to see that epic story being told.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
being into the Snyder kind of stuff, that also led into me like liking the other DCU movies like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and I was just like, when are we going to see the real just? Okay, now I have to tell my Justice League story now.
Okay, 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 okay. Before we move on to Justice League, let us backtrack a little bit more so we have a much more clearer picture. Okay, were you
Right,
always a DC fan before anything else?
that's a very complicated question. In a way, I was always a DC fan. I mean, like when I was a kid, I watched the Richard Donner Superman movies.
Mm-hmm.
Used to love those movies.
Mm-hmm.
I watched some Batman Begins when I was like really, really young.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was always into DC, but Marvel was really my thing growing up. And I don't think it was because of the characters of Iron Man or whatever. I think it was mostly because of Spider Man, because
Right.
right now Spider Man is still my favorite
All
superhero.
right. All
So
right.
I feel like that's what brought me into the Marvel universe a bit more
Mm-hmm.
until I saw Batman v Superman for the when I enjoyed the movie, because I think it made me realize, okay, when I first realized that something was up with Marvel was when I first watched Captain America Civil War. And I knew that it was not the kind of movie I wanted. It was a bland movie. Everyone was saying that it was the greatest movie of all time. And I knew something wasn't up with that movie. It just
Mm.
wasn't my thing, and that's when I got into DC more. I started reading like some of the DC comics. I felt like
Mm-hmm.
DC was where it's at, that lore to the universe and all the Greek gods and
Right.
Batman's like just all of the DC universe just felt so much more appealing to me.
Okay. So okay, so your journey started through the Marvel universe, and eventually, like after watching Civil War, right? Captain America: Civil War,
Right,
right?
right.
And that's when you started, going more into DC. Okay, so did you see BVS first or Man of Steel first?
I saw Man of Steel first, but I was too young to like truly process it really. I mean
Right.
like I was like really young. Like I was probably like I don't know 11 or 12 when it came out. So like I was just a kid. I mean like I was like really young. So I didn't even see it in theaters. I just saw it on TV and I thought it was okay. I mean like as a kid, I wasn't able to process, the themes of the movie and stuff. So
Okay, so
I mean like
let me add something to this. I never liked Superman. Like I never liked Superman growing up. So similar to you, my journey has been that yeah, I was always a Batman fan because as a kid I saw the Batman the animated series and whatnot, and
mhm,
when I was at my earliest youngest age, one of my first like Batman exposure was the Batman Forever film. Like during my
mhm,
childhood, that was like the biggest movie of the summer.
mhm,
Batman Forever was the big deal, which was the Val Kilmer one.
mhm.
So and that movie as a kid was really left a good impression on me as a kid.
Yeah.
And sorry,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh,
So
it was just like,
yeah, I
because
mean,
like Batman Forever is probably my least favorite Batman movie. Like,
no,
sorry,
that's
but
understandable. That's understandable. I'm just
like,
saying, like, in 1997, when I'm just a kid, and,
uh,
I'm like
I,
7 or 8 years old, and I see Batman Forever, it's like for a
mhm,
child, that is like, oh my God. So
yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
so fast forward ahead, I got into like the Saturday morning X-Men cartoon, and the X-Men, especially Wolverine, was my jam. I read all the Wolverine comics. I was a huge Wolverine fan, and then from there, I gravitated a bit to Deadpool at the later stages of reading comic books. But
mhm,
I never kept in touch with the Batman, mythos, or the DC mythos more than the Batman the animated series, Batman Beyond, that Batman from the Future, that cartoon series that came out where Terry McGinnis is the Batman. Bruce Wayne is an old
mhm,
mentor, and then
yeah,
and one day, this was around the time PlayStation 3, like it was this PlayStation 3 era. So one
mhm,
day I went video game shopping, and there was nothing available because I'm in Bangladesh. So back then, when I'm talking 10 years ago or something, it was very difficult to get in touch with, get games or anything. We always used to get things later. Whether movies would come in
uh,
DVD, we would not have a theater that would open in time with the rest of the world, especially America, so on and so forth.
yeah,
So one day I'm just going around, just I have money in my pocket, and I wanted to play something new, and then I see Arkham Asylum Game of the Year edition. So I'm like,
uh,
all right, since there's nothing to buy, I'll get this. And
mhm,
since then, I have never looked back. Just the experience of Arkham Asylum and how
mhm,
Batman's world really is, to get like a POV perception, like perspective on Batman's world, it scared the living
mhm,
daylights out of me. I was like, holy crap, I don't want to be a superhero if this is how it feels. Like, I used to think as a kid I'll be Wolverine, I'll be fighting Sabretooth, ha 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 ha, clawing at me, my limbs chopping off. But then
uh,
I went through Arkham Asylum, and that left quite an impression. And since then, I dove headfirst into
mhm,
everything Batman, from the beginning till all the way to before New 52. I really dove in. And
mhm,
even with the Batman Begins, like the first one, it never really captured me. because I was like, yeah, but compared Batman Begins to like Arkham Asylum, Christian Bale wasn't always,
Mhm.
but he never got to me as a Batman. But everything else about Christopher Nolan's world, especially, Ra's al Ghul, because I used to tell my friends, guys, do you know who Ra's al Ghul is, so on and so forth. He's a major Batman, arch enemy, arch nemesis, so on and so forth. But back then,
Yeah.
everybody knew that only the Joker was like, Batman had only one adversary, and that was Joker. Nobody knew about the
Yeah.
Rogues Gallery and so on and so forth. So this is where I
Yeah.
give like Christopher Nolan credit that he really went around the Rogues Gallery.
Mhm.
And then the Dark Knight came, and to me that was like Heath Ledger himself and Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman carried the movie. To me
Yeah.
personally, like I watched that movie for the Joker. That was
Mhm.
the breakout performance. So, and then I saw The Dark Knight Rises as well. That was a decent movie. I was so emotional because Heath Ledger died, so on and so forth. It was a whole media storm around the whole the premises of The Dark Knight Rises, and I think it was a huge deal because it was the closing chapter of Christopher Nolan's trilogy.
Right.
So, and by then, Marvel was already working on Iron Man and all that. And Robert Downey Jr., before even Iron Man, was always one of my favorite actors. And seeing him in Iron Man, the first one, is still one of my favorite movies. I'm not ashamed to admit it because that is a genuinely good movie.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that goes. And I'm like, okay, so after watching The Dark Knight Rises, The Man of Steel was in production around that time, right?
Mhm.
And again, like I said, I never was into Superman. I never like he was one dimensional, like how Cyclops was in X-Men to me, like a one
Uh-huh.
dimensional goody two shoes. So was
Yeah.
Superman. So I always gravitated towards the anti-hero. So that's why when we talk about Final Fantasy versus, I jump
Uh,
up because Noctis was my dude.
right.
So yeah, so even Leon from Final Fantasy VIII or Cloud from Final Fantasy VII, so on and so forth. So you can see that I always gravitate toward the anti-heroes, the guys who are usually shunned by everybody else. Anyways,
Right.
so yeah, going back to my thought process. So then Man of Steel came and went. I did not look. I didn't see it on theater. My friends used to
Mhm.
tell me like, dude, you have to see this movie. I'm like, Superman. I can't. I just can't sit through a Superman movie. I can't. So it wasn't until I think 2013, I guess it was Comic Con,
Uh-huh.
and then no 2013 I think was when Man of Steel was released, right?
Right.
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 So it
2013.
was I think after the Man of Steel release, and it was during the BVS announcement. Like when Harry Lennox, like Zack Snyder brings up Harry Lennox up on stage, and he gives the whole like I want you to remember, Clark, in all your years to come,
Mhm.
my hand at your throat, the one man who beat you. That whole speech, when
Yeah.
I saw that and I saw the logo, on a
Yeah.
blurry YouTube video, I lost my shit. I
Yeah.
was
That's the first I
literally
saw that.
like fangirling out, like, ah, this
Mhm.
cannot happen in this lifetime. This cannot happen in this lifetime. So I was
Yeah.
so excited, and that a new Batman will show up and everything. So then, after the announcement, I went back and watched the Man of Steel movie, and then I kicked myself in my ass for a couple of hours because why didn't I watch this movie? This was the first time that I could relate or I could find that Superman had other, when there was more dimension to Superman than being a Mister
Right.
like, oh, it's a plane, it's a bird, it's a plane, ta ta na
Mhm.
na 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 na. So that never got to me.
Yeah.
He just shows up, shows off his red underwear, and oh, hello, citizen, cheerio with the
Mhm.
T on the spot of tea. No, 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 no. I was never into that. But to
Mhm.
see Zack Snyder create layers and introspective on him as a human being, Like, okay, he's
Uh-huh.
not a human, he's a Kryptonian, but for him to have human emotions and doubts that, similar to every one of us, I was like, oh my god. And Zack Snyder's visuals is just amazing. So it wasn't
Right.
until BVS that I never even bothered with the directors. I saw a lot of movies throughout my lifetime, a lot of, ovas and all Japanese, you name it, and I never bothered with the directors. I always bothered with the content, whether it entertained me or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I went back and watched Man of Steel, and then I went around and I apologized to all my friends. I'm like, okay, guys, I apologize. You guys were right. I was just being an ass, but yeah, that's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, the journey to BVS, you could probably guess from my enthusiasm now that I'm remembering, I'm getting all giddy and childish myself as well, that it was, all the trailers and Ben Affleck. So when they announced Ben Affleck, I was really cool with it. I was like, all right, let's see what he does, because I was one of the few people who actually enjoyed the Daredevil movie. So yeah,
Uh,
go ahead. I have weird taste. So I was really looking forward to, like, cause Zack did what he did with Superman. So I was really curious what's he gonna do with the Batman. So let's reserve my judgment till I see the suit, because it's always the suit. The suit defines the character. And
mm-hmm.
so when that first trailer dropped, I know, like, one of my closest friends, Gibran, he was here, and the trailer just released on online, and we were here. He was about to go home. He dropped all of his stuff, and we just turned it on, and then to see Ben Affleck and as Batman coming out of those wreckage, I cried. I cried like a little
Oh,
girl.
oh
I
my God.
I literally broke down. We were like hugging each other. I was like, dude, that's Batman. That's Batman.
Oh,
Like, I was bawling like a kid and everything. So that's that. So in correlation to you speaking about the theater cut. So like I said,
mm-hmm.
going into the movie as a huge Batman fan and a born again Superman fan, I loved
Mm,
the theater cut. I mean, it was a bunch of us, like all of us geeks went in day one to see opening of Batman v Superman here.
mm-hmm.
Even in the theatrical cut, because we had gobbled down so many years of comic book material. So whatever was not voiced in terms of narration, that okay, this is happening, please understand this, we were understanding it. We were understanding the context. We were understanding, like, a lot of things that the critics were complaining about the movie, we didn't see it, because to us it was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, okay, we get it. Like, we're getting the narration here, we're getting the points of view, we're getting the
Mm-hmm.
twists, we're understanding it.
Yeah.
So the Martha moment again, we were crying because we knew that there was a Martha Kent and Martha Wayne, but we never put it together in the last 15 or so years. So we were like,
Uh,
what? That was like a mind melting moment. So
uh,
yeah, and then I was pretty shocked with the reception that BVS was getting, because I did not understand people's reaction to it.
mm-hmm.
And I just kept saying Americans are crazy. So that was my usual answer to everything. The Americans are crazy. But then I
Yeah.
saw a Civil War after BVS, and I was like, hold on, they they literally made the same movie. Like, they
Yeah.
literally, like, copied, like, like, plot point to plot point. Like,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
was
And
Martha, and for
it was
Civil
worse
War
too.
it was like, he killed my mom, like, what
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man says near the end of the movie. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
really? And then to see the reception of the media, and how they
Uh-huh.
were so much like, yes, Civil War did it right, BVS didn't do
Uh,
it right. And I was like, wait, what are
it,
you guys talking about? What are you guys talking about? So
it's in.
anyway, yeah. So what's your opinion on
Yeah.
that whole situation?
It's like Civil War was bad to me. I mean, like, the thing is that what makes Civil War bad is that it didn't make me feel anything. Now, I get that a lot of people was like, "Oh, Iron Man's parents died, and now Captain America's and Iron Man's breaking up again." And I'm like, they are literally going to come back in the next two movies. Like, come on, this this isn't forever.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, I could already tell. Like, it's just that Civil War was just so nothing to me. And like, even though I did not like the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman, at
Mm-hmm.
least I came out feeling something.
Mm-hmm.
With Civil War, I don't feel anything. And that's the thing with Marvel movies. Until Infinity War, I mean, like, of course, Infinity War made me feel something. It made everyone feel something.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Endgame, all of those Marvel movies, it just made me feel like nothing. And that's what made DC and Marvel comparable to me. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, not Marvel as a brand, because like Marvel before the MCU was great in my opinion. Like they made some great movies, like the animated movies Marvel used to
Mm-hmm.
make. They were great,
Incredible Hulk
but
was a
like
really good movie, if you ask me. Like the one with
yeah,
Edward Norton. I really love that movie.
yeah, yeah. So now about BVS, what you said about you enjoying the theatrical cut.
Mm-hmm.
Um, why I do not enjoy it. I watched the theatrical cut like yesterday actually,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why I don't enjoy the theatrical cut.
Mm-hmm.
Because the big Snyder plot points is
Mm-hmm.
taken out of the movie. Like what makes the story strong is
Mm-hmm.
taken out. The
Mm-hmm.
backbone of the story
Mm-hmm.
is diminished. And when you watch the theatrical cut, just when I watched the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman, it feels like I'm just watching a movie that's made to develop the universe, just push the universe along to get to Justice League.
Right, right. It has its
I
criticisms,
actually
yes.
Right. While when I watch the Ultimate Edition, I feel like I'm watching a movie, a saga. I feel like I'm watching the character arc of Superman,
Mm-hmm.
how Batman has diminished himself, like how he isn't the same Batman as he was. That's the story I feel like that's the story I feel like watching. And like they cut out the scene where they burnt the bodies at the
Yeah,
beginning of the
like
Decker.
like the
Like how did they
one of the biggest differences between the theatrical cut and the ultimate edition is just the way Superman shows up. In the theatrical cut, he just comes down from the sky. But whereas in
right,
the ultimate edition, he actually flies,
right,
destroys a missile that was meant to destroy
right.
everything in that area, and then goes to
That
save Lois.
entire right, that entire scene in the Ultimate Edition is so much better in the than the theatrical cut.
Mm-hmm.
Like in theatrical cut, it goes by so quick. It goes
Mm-hmm.
by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, what happened? I'm 99% sure I wasn't even able to process when I watched the theatrical cut because it just was too fast. I didn't get what was happening,
Mm-hmm.
but when I watched the Ultimate Edition, that scene where Superman flies in and destroys the missile is epic.
Mm-hmm.
Epic.
Right.
And like they took out the scene
Like
where
that is the most Superman thing like you can show in a movie. Like
right,
he would rather
right,
stop the missiles and go himself.
right. It was a good scene in the Ultimate Edition. And they took out the scene where the terrorist says men with power obeys neither policy or principle.
Mm-hmm.
No
Mm-hmm.
one is different. They took out that line in the theatrical cut.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw the trailer for the Ultimate Edition, I
Mm-hmm.
loved it
Right.
because that line was in it. They had all these scenes that was in it, and every scene I loved that I currently love in the Ultimate Edition was in that trailer. So some part of me knew that the Ultimate Edition was the movie because now every time I watch the Ultimate Edition, I get hyped. I get like, wow, this is a great movie. But when I watch the theatrical cut, I'm like, it makes me feel bored in a way.
Right.
Like even though it took watching the theatrical cut, watching it a third time to finally like the movie, like the Ultimate Edition is the movie that like really brought me to like the Snyder cut. Like that's what brought me in.
When
That's what
that hooked you in for the Snyderverse. Like now after
right,
watching the ultimate
right,
edition, you're in. Like you are Snyderverse
right,
all the
right.
way.
That was it. That
So,
was it. That was it.
the tragedy with Zack Snyder is that originally the ultimate cut was meant to be the theatrical cut,
Right. And
and it was, yeah, go
I
on.
believe if they just look, I believe if they just didn't like they just cut out any scene that could have like made the movie rated R. Like these scenes in the Ultimate Edition are not scenes. They don't have a lot of scenes that warrant an R rating. So Warner Brothers using the R rating excuse is pretty dumb.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't actually care about cutting out those scenes because of the R rating. They cut it out because they wanted more money at the box office, which made the movie suffer at the box
Yeah, they
office.
wanted more repeat viewings, and we have a
Right.
special name for Kevin Sujihara back in our country in Bangladesh. In a local, it's a mixture of the local lingo, which I will
Mhm.
proudly say it now. His name here is called Kevin Chutmarani. So to all my Bengal brothers, you know what that means. So let's not go there. It's very similar to MF. So let me just give you the context right here. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's pretty obvious that Jeff Johns, Toby Emmerich, John Berg, and Kevin Sujihara were behind the butchering of, sabotage of DC to begin with. I mean, I am pretty sure that if they had released the Ultimate Edition, which was the edition, there
It
was
would have made
as it was meant to
a
be
billion.
seen. Yeah, it would have made.
It
and
made $1 billion.
and do you
Like
know, it's so funny that it missed $1 billion only by 190 million. So that is
it's
like,
because it's because the plot wasn't as strong as it is in the Ultimate Edition. It's
right.
because if the Ultimate Edition came out in theaters, that would have been $1 billion. Like
Yeah, but I mean,
because
it just missed the mark by 190 million, which was thanks to
right,
Kevin Sujihara, John Berg, and the Snake, Jeff Johns.
right.
So,
Like
yeah, go on,
there
go on.
was meant let's talk about the Steppenwolf scene. That scene probably would have been good
Ooh,
enough to make the movie $1 billion if
right,
they would have just left
right.
that in because it's like, oh man, something is coming in Justice League. I hope I gotta see Batman v Superman just to get this scene. There was multiple scenes in the Ultimate Edition that could have gotten Batman v Superman to $1 billion,
And
which
also,
I
Lex's plan, like Lex's scheming, was more
right,
cohesive because you saw how much he
right,
manipulated everyone from the killing
right,
of the prisoners in Arkham, in the
right.
jail. His orchestration was more fleshed out in the Ultimate Edition.
Right. It feels like that was Warner Brothers' first attempt at trying to take Snyder's best elements out of a film.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the scenes in the Ultimate Editions are my favorite scenes in the movie. And those are like the big plot building scenes in the movie because like I didn't understand why
Mm.
Batman was branding people
Mm-hmm.
in the theatrical cut
Mm-hmm.
because like but in the Ultimate Edition it made it like Batman was branding people because he knows that those people are going to die in prison. It was like Batman killing people without him actually
Yeah,
killing someone.
yeah, exactly. It's like how he says to Alfred, like, the criminals are like weeds. You take one out, another one just comes up.
Right,
Like the
right. And
context is
it
all
was
there.
going right, it was going to his psychology until he was about to take a life, Superman with his bare hands.
Mm-hmm.
Because throughout the movie, you will notice that Batman never killed himself. He never he would always Snyder
Yeah,
said that
yeah.
Batman would always use
Mm-hmm.
the excuse of
If
that
you
car
die
was
by
gonna blow
proxy,
up.
you die by proxy. Exactly.
Right. He was like right. Like Snyder said that Batman was making the excuse that that car's it's that person's fault for driving in that car that's gonna explode. Like and Batman brands people, oh, I'm not actually killing you. It's the guy in prison that's killing you. And that
Mm-hmm.
was Lex Luthor manipulating
Mm-hmm.
Batman, getting him so close
Mm-hmm.
to actually killing someone with his bare hands, Superman,
Mm-hmm.
to build that up for him to actually kill Superman. But Batman proved that
Mm-hmm.
he is stronger than Lex Luthor's manipulation. And he
Yeah.
realized what
Mm-hmm.
was going on when Superman said, no, when Lois Lane told him that that was his mother's name.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
the thing is that because I come from the comic book background prior to BVS, but between Dark Knight Rises, like after Arkham Asylum all the way to BVS, I read up all the comics and everything. So in comic book lore, in every interpretation of Lex Luthor, he is always defined as one of the most intelligent human beings on the planet. Like his
Right, right.
IQ is really above average. So for me, even in the theatrical cut, for me and my friends, Gibran and other people that we were there, we were like 20 people of all our own friends watching it. So for us to get the context that Luther is manipulating the scenes behind the scene without actually seeing it, like we didn't
Mhm.
lose that beat because we knew how intelligent Lex Luthor actually is, how manipulative he is. I mean, the fact that
Mhm.
he killed Mercy in that courtroom scene in and of itself showed us that, oh my god, okay, this is a very different Lex Luthor. Like,
Mhm.
he's not above killing his most trusted henchman. And
Mhm.
at the same time, like like you were saying with Batman, like like if you ever read the Death in the Family comic, where Jason Todd dies and the repercussions and what Batman goes through in order to find Joker and beat him up. Like he literally like punches Superman, who tries to console him and tell him, like, vengeance is not the way. And even though he knew he was going to break his knuckles, Batman in the comics punches Superman and tells him that either you stand with me or you stand against me, and if you're going to stand against me, I will go through you. So then Superman's
Mhm.
like, yeah, okay, you go do what you want to do. I don't want to have, I don't want to throw down with you right now. So regardless, so to see this Robin suit, that there has been a death in the family, and throughout the whole movie we don't get a context that, okay, was it Jason Todd or was it Dick Grayson? Because if in the Snyder verse, okay, that there was only one Robin, and that's Dick Grayson, all right, and he was the victim of the death in the family storyline. So it would
Mhm.
completely make sense that Batman, this version of Batman, without having, because Batman always needed a Robin to keep him grounded from keeping him from crossing that line. So in
Mhm.
this version, the fact that he never got another like Robin, and it was Dick
Mhm.
Grayson. Like even in the Injustice
Right.
comics, if you
Right.
read it, like
Right.
when Damian Wayne accidentally kills Dick Grayson, he denounces the Damian Wayne that you killed my son. You are not my
Mhm.
son. Dick Grayson was my
Mhm.
son. That is how much
Right.
Bruce Wayne, Batman cares about Dick Grayson. Like Dick Grayson is the heir to the cowl. So
Right. So that really impacted him,
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
exactly. Like Snyder,
I
like
made
put
that
in the
example.
details.
Right. I made that example before while tweeting on Twitter about how it was Dick Grayson instead of Jason Todd.
Right,
It was the first Robin, the
right,
Robin that he probably really like wanted him to take up the Batman role,
right,
like when he got old
right.
and
I
he
mean
got
the
killed
yeah,
by the Joker.
right, right,
Like
right.
I feel like around that time, that's when Lex Luthor started putting his plan into motion.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like Lex Luthor knew that Batman was going through a grieving process.
Right,
So the first thing Lex Luthor probably did was set up the bat branding system. That's where it first started,
right,
and Batman probably was like, I'm only going to off the worst of the worst criminals, which is
right.
why you see him brand the
Yeah, yeah,
pedophile
yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The sex trader.
right, the sex trafficker guy
Yeah, yeah.
at the place. He only was branding the worst of the worst criminals
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
until he just kept going far, far, farther and farther until he literally want to kill someone that he doesn't even know because there's a 1% chance that that's going to be his enemy.
Right.
It's a very interesting story for Batman. Like
Exactly.
I
This
have
is this is a version. This is a growth, or like like this is a
the
perception of
rebirth of
Batman we have
Batman.
never seen before.
Right. It was the rebirth of Batman. It is the Batman story that was never told before. Like, what if Batman really did go so far down?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we haven't ever seen a story like that before. And like, I even think like everyone says that this is the Dark Knight Returns Batman. I mean, like it's inspired by the Dark Knight Returns, but it's not
Yeah,
really the
like
Dark Knight
okay, so
Returns.
if from a comic book's perspective, well, this is just me, flexing my comic book knowledge muscles.
Mhm.
In the comic, do you know that it was originally like the Bane serum, the Venom serum that Bane uses to become Bane? It was originally concocted by Batman. Do you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, so it's in the comics, and I read that I read that series, and Batman, because he physically he was from all the damage that he took over the years. This was prelude to Bane. All right, this was prelude to Bane showing up in Gotham and breaking his back and all that. It was before the Nightfall saga. So right before that, they had this mini series and where Batman became addicted to the Venom drug. It made him faster. It made him more efficient, but he became
Mhm,
more violent. Okay,
mhm,
he became unrestrained. Exactly as they were showing in BVS. So for
mhm,
me, coming from that knowledge that hey, I've seen this, I've read this. Like Batman
mhm,
literally like locked himself up once he realized that the Venom drug. Like Alfred tells him that you're different. You are like going. You're breaking your code. You're bending the rules because you're so
mhm,
addicted to the substance. So once
mhm,
Bruce Batman realizes that, he literally shuts himself in for like a week inside the Batcave till he literally wills his addiction away. So when he comes
uh,
out, he has like he has the whole long hair, beard, and everything. So because
mhm,
in the comic, I saw a version of Batman where he is this unhinged, where he kicked out all the Robins and so on and so forth. He was just addicted to the Venom drug and being Batman. Like he did not sleep 24 hours a day. That's how the Venom drug kept him going to be a vigilante 24/7. So the
mhm,
Batman, the Batman persona, mixed in with the Venom drug was making him so on and so forth. So that's
mhm,
why, exactly as you were saying, that, seeing Batman in this light, I was not surprised. I was like, oh my God, Zack is actually going without the use
mhm,
of substances, using emotion and PTSD as more of a, as a trigger for Batman to behave the way he's behaving. Because in the
mhm,
beginning of the movie, which again, I give Zack Snyder credit, because Marvel has the whole end credit scene as their gimmick, right?
mhm,
Like they always connect the universes through a mid credit or an end credit scene, right?
mhm,
Whereas Zack literally connected the two movies. Like,
mhm,
mankind is introduced to Superman. I'm like, holy shit. So
mhm,
even during the Man of Steel, you see the Wayne satellite, the LexCorp, logos here and there, and the Wayne satellite, and I'm like, holy shit, Batman was there during the D-Day or whatever
yeah,
that day was
yeah, yeah,
called. And to
yeah, it makes
see,
sense.
and especially in the Ultimate Edition, where it is a bit more fleshed out, that you see the orphans, the children, who are walking in that smoke and everything. He sees the horse, and then when he that girl, that little girl that he sees, and she's like, "Where's your mom?" And she points towards the building, and then it just triggers Batman. It's like, okay, this child just lost her parents, so that
Mhm.
really,
Uh,
triggered his PTSD. And
right,
unlike
right,
Joe Chill, who he never got to, take it upon himself, here,
mhm,
his target, or whatever triggered it, is an alien. It's not even a human being who literally is
right,
demolishing the whole world, having a scuffle amongst their own races. So it completely
right,
makes sense that a morally bankrupt Bruce Wayne, at this later stage of being 20 years of being Batman in Gotham, is going to
mhm,
take Superman on. Like Superman will be the target of his, you know
right,
Batman will go after Superman. That's why in the movie title it was clearly stated that it's not Batman versus Superman, it's Batman v Superman. So it is
mhm,
Batman who has an issue with Superman, not the other way around. But
mhm,
again, it's the magic of how smart Luthor was, because he was also manipulating Superman into getting whole angsty about vigilantes. That's why in the
mhm,
Ultimate Edition you see Clark Kent being Clark Kent going around and being a reporter, trying to find
right,
out who the Batman is, why he's he
right,
terrorizing Gotham. The police are probably corrupt, and in his they're paid off by him. They're in his pocket, so on and so forth. So
right,
this was amazing to see Zack really deep dive into the lore in all of
right.
DC and pick out the best of the plot points in order to show his version of DCEU.
Right, and I still feel like those scenes were necessary to showing why Superman would beat up Batman,
Right,
during the fight.
right,
Because like when you watch the theatrical cut, all Superman sees is the news report of the Batman.
right,
He doesn't go to the city. He doesn't interact with the people. He doesn't see the pain that the Batman causes,
right,
even though the pain is caused to people who are very terrible people.
right,
He, the thing is that Superman gives a emotional reason to kill Batman
right.
because while he's fighting Batman, he's like, please listen to me. Then he's like, oh
Hmm.
no, this dude's completely unhinged. He
Right,
literally wants to kill me. He doesn't even know who I am.
right,
I'm literally trying to reason with this guy. He's just trying to kill me for no reason.
right.
And it's like, I have to save my mom here, so
Hmm.
I have to fight Batman. And it
Hmm.
makes so much more sense in the Ultimate Edition than the theatrical cut,
Yeah,
which where we
exactly,
don't see it.
exactly. So this
Right.
movie is, yeah, that's why, BVS, every iteration of it, because I just love BVS as a whole.
Uh-huh.
The Ultimate Edition is my preferred version. But even when I'm
Uh-huh.
watching the theatrical cut, I don't have any issues, because like I said, like when I watched it the first time, it didn't bother me, because
Right.
whatever reference Zack was going for, it was clicking in my head. Similarly with my friends as well, since they were even a bigger comic book nerds and all that and all that. So okay, so moving forward, now that we have established that BVS, Ultimate Edition, is one of the greatest CBM movies of all time, and
Right.
prior to moving on to its sequel, what did you think about Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad?
Okay, so when it came to Suicide Squad, I didn't like it at all. And even now, it's hard for me to get through the first act of the movie. I like the first act of the movie. I really do like the first scenes up when they're developing the characters. But when they get to Midway City, that's when the story just starts to tip for me because it's like I feel like they didn't have enough of a beginning scene showing the characters in their lives for me to feel like now they're on this big journey trying to take out Enchantress. So I mean like I didn't really like Suicide Squad much really, and I mean the extended cut makes it better, I guess. I like the Joker scenes. I I mean, like, I didn't like the Joker at first, but now I've really come to appreciate Jared Leto's Joker. I think he's a joy to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But like, as I've heard a friend say, they said that that Suicide Squad is better to watch as clips on YouTube than watching the whole movie together.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that really adds something because this movie was edited by a trailer park, someone who made trailers.
Right,
A
a company that made
trailer company.
trailers, like the very people
Right,
who cut the first trailer, they were given the movie, and Kevin Chutmarani said that, okay, make it happy, make it positive, whatever.
right. So that also adds to the reason why Suicide Squad is much more enjoyable when you just watch it on YouTube, just watch a clip.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's edited in a way that's not like make you want to watch the entire movie, but just watch those individual scenes.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I want to see the air cut because I know that the scenes are going to be edited in a way that's more like a movie than a trailer. Like
Right.
I'm pretty much watching a trailer for the air cut, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. What was okay? Okay. So let's dive in a bit more into Suicide Squad before we move on to Wonder Woman. So, in terms of Jared Leto's, Joker, what are your personal thoughts on, his visual representation of the Joker, so on and so forth?
Mhm. Well, when I first saw it in 2017, I think like 2017 or 2018, 2016, I mean, I didn't like it really. I did feel like he was a little bit cringy,
Mm-hmm.
but my perception towards his Joker has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that a lot of it is because his scenes were cut out. I mean,
Right.
like,
Right.
without context, without understanding why he was acting that way. It's like certain scenes were cut out in the middle of his conversations of what he's saying
Right.
to make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because like
Very choppy
I
editing.
watched
Very
I
choppy
watched
editing.
a right. I've watched the behind the scenes videos of Jared Leto's Joker, and I like his performance. I like the way it is when I saw those scenes behind the scenes. It was
Mm-hmm.
one where it was the scene where with the panda guy. No, 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 not that scene. It's when he was going inside the facility
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, he whacked the guy who was like this, I don't know, it was like this checkup guy before
Mm-hmm.
he was driving inside the building.
Right, 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 right.
It's just that these scenes with Jared Leto's Joker was all cut out, and we don't really see his true full performance. But now when I watch those scenes, I do like his Joker.
Well, for me personally, it's just that visually, all right? First of all, visually, the way they represented Joker with the grill, the broken teeth, and everything, I was like, oh my god, there's so much backstory in that. Because
Mhm.
Batman did break Joker's teeth after death in the family. He literally, like, if you see the animated movie Under the Hood with Jason Todd and everything, in the interrogation scene in Arkham Asylum with Joker, Dick Grayson, and Batman, Joker admits, so are you going to put me in the hospital for another 8 months? So on and so forth. So,
Mhm.
and also coming off from, like, the suit that he wears is so reminiscent of the Dark Knight Returns Joker, and visually it has so much similarities. I mean, yeah, David Ayer went a bit too overboard with the whole tattoos and all that, especially the one on the top of his forehead. But even then, I was really looking because I was seeing the bigger picture. This was before 2017 when we knew that okay, everything has been scrapped. Because I was thinking that okay, if we get because that whole Batman chase sequence in the Lamborghini, that was one of my favorite like instances in the whole movie. Even when Batman shows up to talk to Deadshot, or Flash shows up to catch Boomerang. So it was world building, right? So similarly with BVS, as you said, like Warner Brothers were so hyped up about creating a cinematic universe that they chopped up the movies. David Ayer Suicide Squad went through the similar thing, right? And if I remember correctly, in the initial screenings of Suicide Squad, in the first screenings, they do the test screenings. It was received very positively before the reshoots happened. So, which
Mhm.
means that the original air cut of the movie was a much better and cohesive movie, just like the Ultimate
Right.
Edition was. And like I said, like we did not see enough performance of Jared Leto, but just on a visual representation of a Joker that can take on Ben Affleck's Batman, I would not
Mhm.
choose anybody else. Like you cannot give me Joaquin Phoenix's Joker or Heath Ledger's Joker to take on a bruiser, MMA style bruiser Batman like Ben Affleck. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work
Uh,
out. It
I
just doesn't work
I'm
out.
sorry, but I'd probably choose Jared. I mean, Walking Phoenix because
Okay.
of the background, because of the mental background of his character, of where he came from, and how his big movement causes the death of the Wayne family. I know it's not the same universe at all,
Yeah.
but like just the fact that the birth of the Joker was the birth of Batman is very symbolic, and that could really impact Bruce Wayne.
Which is funny because
The fact that,
it's the reverse
right,
symbology.
right, and the fact that Bruce Wayne can never truly know if Joker is his brother without taking a blood test, which is probably something he would never do. It just leaves a very strong connection to why Batman would never kill the Joker in the universe. And like
Hmm.
the Joker was never someone to fight Batman hand to hand combat. He's someone that tortures Batman because he enjoys it. That's the Joker. Like even the Arkham games, they never really fight hand to hand
Yeah,
combat.
of course.
The Joker,
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
the Joker's like, I wouldn't say that he's like Lex Luthor, but he's like crazy, and he just doesn't really have a plan. He doesn't really know where he's going with his life. He doesn't really want to be in a stable place. He doesn't want to rule over Gotham. He just wants to do things, and he finds it fun. And the best person that he finds enjoying like torturing is Batman.
Well, yeah, like
So
if you go with the canon lore, it was like Joker was the antithesis of Batman. And it was
right,
Batman who indirectly created the Joker, with the Red Hood gang and all that and all that.
right.
So yeah. So anyways, so as we were saying that, yeah. So hopefully we will get to see David Ayer's Suicide Squad with the whole new rumors that are floating around that something may be happening behind the
Mm,
scenes, and David Ayer has come out of the woodworks after the Snyder Cuts announcement. He's really pushing for his cut of the movie, and I think I understand why he's doing what he's doing, because he took a lot of flack for Suicide Squad. So it makes sense. So
uh,
okay, moving on from Suicide Squad. Okay, Wonder Woman. What are your thoughts on the first Wonder Woman?
I loved it. I loved it so much when I first saw it. Like
Same, same. I loved it. I
it
have no
was
complaints. I loved it.
it was oh my god. The scene the no man's land scene was the most hype moment in the movie for me.
Oh yeah,
It was
oh yeah.
such a good
It
movie,
was
and
it was
I know
on
people
par to her showing
I
up in
know
BVS.
right, right. I know people complain about the third act. It never really bothered me that much. I
Same,
mean, like
same, same, same.
I just felt like it was a good twist that the guy that she was working with was Ares. But my only complaint was the fact that she killed him, which is like I wish he could have came back. But we are going to get more of him in Zack Snyder's Justice League, so no complaints for right here. No complaints on my part.
See, what I loved about the Wonder Woman movie more was that it was in line with the Snyderverse. Like in terms of the character that was established as Wonder Woman, like the things she says, like I left humanity, so on and so forth, because humanity disappointed me, and everything. So in line to the Snyderverse or the Snyder canon, Wonder
Mm-hmm.
Woman, the first one, it completely makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have no complaints. I saw it. I loved it. And Gal Gadot is just beautiful to look at. Like, if God took his
Well,
time to, like, create someone, I think he took time to create Jason Momoa and Gal Gadot. Like, they're just beautiful people.
yeah.
And the fact that Zack, like I said, like, Zack wasn't directly involved, but the fact that he was
But he
executive
wrote the
producer.
story.
Huh?
He wrote the story.
Yeah.
He had a hand on with the script
Yeah,
to Wonder Woman.
exactly. Because,
Like,
like I said, Zach pushed for the Wonder Woman solo movie. He pushed for Patty Jenkins to direct it. Sorry, excuse me.
right, it's partly Snyder's movie. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah,
has
yeah,
Snyder's
yeah, yeah. So
visuals. It
exactly,
has
even the color grade and the color filter, whatever people call it
well
in
the
technical
color grade.
terms.
Well, with Snyder's color grade, each one of his movies has a unique style to it.
Right.
So like Wonder Woman has a really good color grade, but it's not as defining as Snyder's type of color
Yeah,
grading.
but it was still
But
in line. You could tell that it
but
was part of the same universe.
right. But whenever there's a directorial movie, like whenever a director has control of a movie, I'd always like to see some good color grading in it.
Right, 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 right. So,
Right.
right. So let's come to 2017, the year that changed my life as a DC fan and as a Star Wars fan.
Uh,
So, let's give like a prelude to the this topic, which was that we saw the Comic Con sneak peek with Zack Snyder's first trailer. And what
uh,
did you think of the first trailer of Justice League, the Comic Con sneak peek, the
I
Zack
liked
Snyder
it.
trailer?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it. I really did like it. It wasn't as a banger to me, but like even now, it's not like a big bang of a trailer, but
Mm-hmm.
like it was
Mm-hmm.
a pretty good trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like trailer one and trailer two, trailer one and the Comic Con trailer, they were pretty good trailers. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but like that's not what got me hyped up for Justice League. It was what's going to be in the movie that got me
Right,
hyped up
right,
for
right, right,
Justice
right, right,
League.
right.
Right. Yeah.
So, your first viewing of Justice League. Go on, shoot. Tell me
Oh,
about your whole experience.
this is sad. I pretended to like it for a long time.
Okay.
I faked enjoying the movie because I really did not want to I really didn't want to not like the movie. I was still kind of an MCU fan.
Right,
Like
right,
I
right.
faked trying to like Captain America Civil War for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So any movie that had a lightish tone, I was going through this phase where I was like, the MCU is like the best way to make comic book movies.
Mm-hmm.
That was like in my mindset before I was actually like trying to freely think of like comic book movies should be open in its tone and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was fake liking Justice League for a while until like I knew that that's not the movie that I wanted to see.
Right.
It was with the Snyder cut really. I was waiting like right after Justice League ended, like I know like a few weeks after I watched Justice League. I was like, when are we going to get the extended cut?
Mm-hmm.
When this movie gets on Blu-ray, it's
Mm-hmm.
going to get extended cut. I was hearing all this stuff on YouTube about what's going to be in it. I heard Green Lantern. I heard Darkseid. The,
Mm-hmm.
the weeks was going by.
Mm-hmm.
Justice League got on Blu-ray. I was hearing about an extended cut that had 15 more minutes of footage. I heard all of this stuff. So I was like,
You heard
when
all the
is it
whispers. You heard all the whispers.
right? Right. I heard it all. I was like, when is it going to come out?
Right.
Never came out. And I was so disappointed
Mm-hmm.
because I saw all of this trailer footage,
Right.
all this stuff in the trailers that wasn't even on the Blu-ray
Right.
that
They
I
only
couldn't.
had that scene of Superman coming out of the that's
Right.
Kryptonian ship.
Right. So if we even wanted to make our own Snyder cut, we couldn't do it. We couldn't
Right.
because they didn't even put deleted scenes on the Blu-ray. So
Right.
I was like, something is up here. This isn't right. Why does it Justice League feel like Batman v Superman? Why is the color grading so bad?
Mm.
Then I was like thinking, like, wait, Josh Whedon did come on Justice League. Like a few months, like I mean a month after Snyder left, I was like, I
Mm.
I just knew. I just knew that he completely probably reshot the entire movie. Like reshot 80% of the movie and yeah, he messed it up pretty much, you
Well,
know?
I'll admit to something here for the first time. If my fellow Spartans did not know this already, well, some of them do, but most of them don't. Is that when I
Mhm.
first saw Justice League, I enjoyed it
You
because
really did?
yeah, because I was so invested in the world. I was so
Mhm.
invested in Ben Affleck's Batman, Henry Cavill's Superman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, Jason Momoa, and everyone. I was so in, like I was so hyped that like it could not disappoint me. So when I saw
Mhm.
it the first time around, it just like it flew over my head, and I liked the movie. It wasn't
Uh,
until the second viewing then I started to see all the flaws. Like, okay,
uh,
what's wrong with Henry's lips? What's wrong with some of the scenes? Why do they seem like CGI cut out? In like the background and the foreground did not mix and match. Why does Ben Affleck look fit in one scene and why does he look chubby in another one? And then some of
uh,
the cringy dialogues like, okay, something's bleeding, or I am not happy to see you, and all these stupid stuff that I saw.
uh,
I was like, okay, okay, yeah, okay. Maybe the Ultimate Edition, when this movie comes out, it will be much better. So similar to you,
yeah,
I was holding out hope for the Ultimate Edition. Then
yeah. I was
nothing came, and then
so.
the rumors started spreading about the Snyder cut. There was a petition about restoring Snyder's original vision. So back in
Mhm,
2017, we didn't have the movement. Okay, it was just I think there was some petitions that were going around in petition.org,
uh,
and that got a
right,
lot of signatures. I signed on, and then I found out because I did the research of what was going on. Grace Randolph, Chris Wong, Dave Pina, John Aaron Garza, like everyone who was speaking about the Snyder cut and Justice League around that time. I was going through the trenches. And then one day
right,
I found out that Zack uses Vero, a social app. And I was like, all right,
right.
never heard of Vero, might as well get it.
Mhm.
So when I first got the Vero app, I started following Zack Snyder, and then I started following some of the people in the comments of Zack Snyder's posts and whatnot. And eventually, I got to meet the people like the Nerd Queens, and then Mr. West Ashley from Go Deep, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
Zod Writer. I met a lot of people. Even on Facebook, I met a lot of people who were in the Snyderverse and the Zack Snyder Appreciation Society. That's a Facebook page, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
And that is when, and it ignited something in me. It's like, okay, it's just not right. And then the rumors started speculating that, okay, Ben Affleck's going to leave, Henry Cavill might not return, they're
Uh-huh.
they're rebooting. And I was like, what the fuck, what's
Yeah.
going on? No, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, don't do this, don't do this.
Yeah.
Like, I literally had like an emotional, like, stress anxiety attack going on around that time, because I was so
Uh,
invested, as a fan of
yeah.
DC property, and I love this interpretation of the character so much. And like I said, Zack made me like Superman. Like, 20 years of my life and comic book material, or TV or pop culture material, never got me to like Superman. But Zack
Mhm.
Snyder, in one movie, which was Man of Steel, he got me to like Superman. And
All
he
right.
gave me a Batman that was more comic accurate and video game accurate, if you take Arkham into consideration, because that warehouse scene is one of the baddest scenes of all time. So,
Yeah.
I was so invested. And as a Batman fan, I was like, you can't do this. You cannot take away, because there were rumors about the Ben Affleck solo movie. They're working on the
All right.
script. They'll do it, rewrites. Jeff Johns being a C, an ass. All right, so on and so forth. And eventually, Ben Affleck spiraling out because his movie Live by Night failed, so on and so forth. The studio was going through so much reshuffle, and
Mhm.
so on and so forth. Everything, you were there. You saw all the news articles
All
and
right.
everything, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just really hit me personally. Like, whatever happened to Zach, especially with Autumn's death and everything, because I
Mhm.
lost my mom at a very young age. I took that,
Uh,
like, I was very empathetic to Zack Snyder's situation. Like, I felt the pain that he was feeling, and so it became like a really, like, a personal attack, not on. Uh, I felt like the Warner Brothers was attacking me personally throughout whatever they were doing. I know it sounds stupid maybe to some people, but
mhm.
that's what happens when you're emotionally invested in IPs that you grew up with, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so like I said, I was lucky enough to, through the Vero account, I got to meet people, and I was actually, I ended up in the group chat in Twitter that did the first banner. We had, like,
Yeah.
Fiona started the movement. She was the go-to girl in order to get in touch with Zack Snyder. Then there was a Twitter group that was created for the banner, like the first banner,
Mhm.
right? That was supposed to fly over Warner Brothers plot, in
Right. Right. I remember that.
wherever. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
20. I think
yeah,
that was 2018,
yeah,
right?
yeah. 2018 was when we started to, get
Yeah.
together, because we all connected in Vero. You
Right.
had the Nerd Queens, you had Vinaldo, you had Fiona, you had, like, Mr. West Ashley, and many others. DTS. We were all there. Like, it was a hodgepodge
Right.
of all the fans who we all got together, and we were
Right.
discussing. And because most of us were not in the states, we just
Mhm.
gave them positive vibes and positive ideas, like, yeah, we like what you're saying, yeah, go on, we'll do our best, like, even though we're not in the states, we'll send the money, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So, if
Right.
my memory serves right, and please, viewers, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, it was the
Mhm.
Nerd Queens, Vinaldo and Charlie, who organized most of the, Eric, Blake was also there, and they organized the whole banner thing. And we, who were outsiders, we were like, yeah, go on. We were there. Ramesh De Silva was there. And everyone was there, and we all worked together, and they got it done. So after that,
Right.
because it was a whole hodgepodge of way too many people in that group, later on the groups became more minimalistic, and I was kept out of the loop, but I followed the RT Snyder Cut account. It was created around the time that the first banner went out.
Right.
So that's when I started following the account and doing my best as a Spartan. We were all labeled as Snyder Spartans, right? So
Hmm.
the movement was there. So tell me, how did you get into the movement from your point of view?
I can still remember getting into it. All I did, okay. So how did I get into it? Well, like I said, I just got deeper and deeper into the Snyder Cut. I looked at all the articles. It was all coming out, and I was just like waiting for the Snyder Cut to come out. Then 2018 came, Comic Con. I was like, this was going to be the day. Comic Con was going to be the day. Zack Snyder was at Comic Con. He was in the area
Yeah,
of Comic Con. He
yeah,
was
yeah,
staying
yeah.
in a hotel.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that he was going to come up there and announce the Snyder Cut, but when it didn't happen, when all we got was an executive at Warner Brothers saying that it doesn't really exist,
Yeah,
it
the
was just
Hollywood
a
Reporter article. The Hollywood Reporter
yeah,
article. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and even though like yeah, it kind of was just a work print cut, he was denouncing that it didn't exist, that it's not going to come out. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I knew.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I knew that I had to fight for this thing to come out. Because
Right.
like I knew they had it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jay Oliva literally said
Mm-hmm.
that the assembly cut exists. Like the entire movie was shot. And the fact that the entire movie was shot mean that something existed, meaning that the movie was butchered. It
Right.
means that Josh Whedon actually went in there and reshot the majority of the movie.
Right.
It just meant so much.
Right.
When I, after Comic Con, I downloaded Twitter. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm gonna go in there. I'm going to call myself. I don't even remember my first name. I think I was always calling myself Kalio
Right.
on Twitter. I don't know. So I went in there. I called myself Kalio. I got into the Star Cut movement. I was saying hashtag release the Star Cut almost
Yeah,
every
boy.
day.
Mm-hmm. The
Yeah, I was
trenches. The
like, I
Twitter
was
was the trenches for the movement.
right, right, right. I was into it. I was into it. I got into the group chats. There was tons of group chat
Oh
drama
yeah. Oh
that
yeah.
is, yeah, I was like, man, this is stressful. But like I was just like, yeah, this is fun. This is fun getting into hashtag release the Snyder Cut, getting this thing released. And well, at first I started out like as someone who was part of the hashtag Joker gang, but then I of course switched my hashtag, added the hashtag release the Snyder Cut,
Right.
and I changed it to the profile pic that I have
Right.
today, something
Right.
similar.
Right.
And when and I was just keep I never gave up. That's the thing. I always whenever like something would happen that would always bring me down, I would never stop tweeting hashtag release Stargut. Every time an article came out, dismissing that it's never going to come out. Here's proof that it's never going to come out. I just knew if I didn't say anything, then it's never going to come out.
Right.
So
Right.
I just kept tweeting. I just kept tweeting, keep tweeting. Hashtag release Snyder Cut, and it happened. That's the best thing. It actually happened. I didn't know if it was gonna happen.
Okay.
I knew the
All right.
chances.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So before we get to that, all right, I just want to tell the viewers something. All right. So I
Right.
met Kalio on Twitter as well, and the thing that connected us more than the Snyder Cut movement was Kalio is a huge fan of a franchise that is very near and dear to my heart, which is the Final Fantasy franchise. So
Right.
right, so when you started posting like things about verses and Final Fantasy 15, and that was like,
Mhm.
hey, this guy is cool. He likes, he likes video games that I like, and he has opinions that are very
Right.
similar to mine. So that's how you and I got in touch. I started liking and commenting on some of your, verses and Nomura posts that you were doing on Twitter.
Mhm.
So that's how you and I got in touch. So,
Right.
like everybody knows, I'm gonna post this picture up on the screen right now. Here we go. Zack Snyder's Justice League, 2021 on HBO Max. So,
Mhm.
it happened on the last month, May 20th. It was May 20, right?
Right. Right.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
week, so the week leading up to the whole Man of Steel watch party, I was because
Mhm.
you are like one of the few people whose tweets are always pop up like first in my feed, news feed.
Right,
So
right,
I really caught on to you deep diving into all of Zack's posts, right?
right,
And you are
right,
literally going on Sherlock Holmes, like you're going like full on deep diving into each of the pictures. And to
right.
me personally, without even knowing the rumors or anything, because I didn't know anything, right? I didn't
uh,
know any
uh,
of the rumors or the buzzes that Henry was going to show up or something's going to happen, because I was like, because we took the punches. We have been taking the punches for so long. It was our
mhm.
sheer tenacity and will that kept us going, right? So
Right.
please enlighten me, because it was you who said it's coming. It's gonna come. It's
Right.
gonna happen. And I was
You
like,
see it.
and if you remember my comment, I was like, dude, I love your enthusiasm, but at the same time,
Uh,
like take it easy. I'm with you, but at the same time, I cannot take this disappointment. You're like, dude, don't
right.
worry, it's there, it's coming. So please,
The thing.
please, for the viewers,
Right.
tell us how that happened.
Look. Look. Okay. Look. Zack Snyder was someone who was posting random images of the Snyder Cut almost every day, almost every week,
I think it was
and
every
I just
Tuesday. I
knew.
think it was every Tuesday
Right.
he posted something.
Right. I just knew there was no way, no way the studio was letting him just do this without him getting sued or whatever. Like, it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. And all of the cryptid messages, I created like tons of theories behind it.
Right.
And my philosophy behind creating all those theories was that if I just create every theory behind the Snyder Cut, I know one of them was going to be right. That was my philosophy. I just had to create every theory possible, every theory that I thought was possible. So I went from them releasing an unfinished cut to them creating a complete cut to them adding more footage, doing the reshoots to all of these things. I just kept creating these theories until one of them was correct. And like it really went off. My theories really went off the rails during 2020, like a few months before the Snyder Cut got announced.
Yeah, that's
It
when
was
you started. Yeah.
right. It was because Zack's posting schedule. It
Right.
was every Saturday. Every Sunday. It was every Sunday, Saturday, or Friday. It was those 3 days, I think,
Right.
where Zack Snyder would post something. So because it was mostly those days, I was able to predict when he was gonna post. One of the things I noticed was that these are orchestrated. Like these are sometimes orchestrated,
Right.
but when it was orchestrated, because I knew that Zack Snyder was going to post, I knew that they had Zack Snyder and Warner Brothers. I knew they had to be in talks.
Right.
Like literally they had to be in talks. There was no way that they were going to let him post all this stuff unless they were in some deal to have him post this kinds of stuff.
Well, I think
So
November 17, 2019 had a huge part to play for
right,
that conversation to start at the
right.
beginning of this year.
I felt like it was November 17th that made it possible. It was Zack Snyder. That was like I feel like it was after that day when it got big on trending. That's when they made the call to Zack. That's
Yeah,
when it
because if
happened.
I remember, Sean O'Connell, he posted on Twitter that remember February 8th, you guys did it. Something big is happening.
Right, right. That because February 8th, that was the day they screened the Snyder Cut. That's
Right.
when they screened it to the
Right.
executives.
Right.
That's when it happened.
But
That's
we
when they
didn't know
screened it.
that. We didn't know that.
Right,
Nobody knew that.
right, right.
But
So I don't
you were up to something. You caught on to something.
right. I caught on to it because Zack Snyder. It was the slate. I mean, like everyone knew it was the slate. That's when it was pretty much confirmed that it was coming out. But
Yeah,
when the slate came
the
out,
poster competition, right?
Right,
Right.
right. It was the poster competition and it was a slate. I had a theory for the poster competition that I didn't know was true. I still know if it's true.
Okay.
That Zack Snyder was going to use the poster, the winning poster, as the main picture for the Snyder Cut
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah,
HBO.
yeah. We all thought that the winner of the poster event would be the official image for the Zack Snyder's Snyder cut. Yeah.
Right. I don't know if that's still going to happen. I still believe that it's going to happen, but that was one of my main theories.
Maybe
My
in the
second,
Blu-ray edition. Maybe in the Blu-ray edition.
the Steelbook, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
If it
Yeah.
happens,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like probably like 2 years down the line from now. No, 3 years technically, because 2021.
Right.
That's when it's probably gonna happen because they're gonna want to get all those HBO Max subscribers as they can get.
Oh yeah.
But back on topic. Okay, this is the part where I was mainly getting into when I had the theory that the reason why Zack Snyder stopped posting. Now, we know Zack Snyder was posting less and less and less,
Right, right, right.
Like he just stopped. And like during that time, the time where he stopped posting, I knew that something happened. Because like they were under a deal. And I know when these contracts, these Hollywood contracts, they're
Mhm.
tricky. They
Mhm.
are tricky. So when Zack Snyder stopped posting images, I just knew that he was under some kind of contract.
Mhm.
He either had a call from Warner Brothers telling him to stop posting images or it happened. But okay, let's backtrack here to the main point, to the main part where I knew it was going to happen.
Right.
This is when I was guaranteed. It was when AT&T, HBO Max, they posted those quotes from the Snyder Cut on their Instagram, where
Right.
AT&T
Right. Right.
said
Right.
it's easy to lose, but it's easy to find. They said things change quickly, mount up, which I believe that is a quote that Alfred tells Batman before he
Right.
goes on his journey to find Aquaman.
Right.
The thing is that the fact that AT&T posted those quotes in the comment sections of those Instagram posts of the Snyder, not Snyder, the regular Justice League.
Mhm.
That's what I knew. That's when I knew it was going to come out because AT&T is not in the business of false advertising.
Right.
Like a company does not false advertise unless it's going to unless it's April Fools or like they're just being dumb and they want to lose money or they want to lose investors or something.
Right. Right.
Like,
Right.
don't false advertise. Not ever. You don't just point quotes
Mhm.
that's from the Snyder Cut and just like giving wink and nods to it. Like another thing that made me feel like that it was coming was when
Mhm.
AT&T was the only ones that was responding to Snyder Cut comments.
Right.
Like this was something like Warner Brothers didn't do it.
Right.
Warner Brothers never support the Snyder Cut,
Yep.
but AT&T, they were the ones who was responding to the comments. They were like they said that we are interested in like making our division. I think this is paraphrasing, but they're interested in making any fan base as happy as it can be. That's what they said when someone asks, will you release the Snyder Cut? I'm paraphrasing.
Right.
They said something like that. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the things I thought was like, wait a minute.
Mhm.
AT&T is the one who's doing this. AT&T, it's AT&T was the one that was backing all the Snyder Cut stuff up.
Right.
That's why I realized that, oh man, it's not Warner Brothers. It's
Mhm.
AT&T. It's Warner Media who was going to release the Snyder Cut.
Right.
The
Right.
more the time proved on and on again. AT&T was posting about Justice League, but they
Mhm.
barely even showed like Whedon footage. They barely posted Whedon footage, Whedon images. They showed mostly Snyder images. They were catering to the fan base. They were
Right.
keep catering to us. They got us to come. They got us to say hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And they were listening. Like Warner Brothers, they were just these guys in the side just posting tweets. But AT&T, they were the ones that was catering to the fans. AT&T and HBO Max. We knew. I knew that they were the ones who was going to release the Snyder Cut,
Well,
and it was that.
yeah, they got the wind of it because a lot of the fans who were in America, they really flooded like the AT&T customer service with
Right.
questions about the Snyder Cut. Yeah, go
Huh.
on.
Right. And it was the week. It was the week where Zack Snyder went silent on the Snyder Cut. Didn't post anything. I was counting down the days. I created multiple countdowns to whenever he wouldn't post about the Snyder Cut.
Right.
That's when I knew that something was happening because Zack Snyder wasn't saying anything. And I was comfortable enough to say that the Snyder Cut was either going to be announced in April or in May. I was comfortable enough to say that. I was like, I knew it was going to happen. There was
Right.
too much evidence supporting it being announced or even dropped on HBO Max day one. There was too much evidence supporting that. I paid attention to every piece of evidence, every article, every bit of information that Warner Media said. Even Warner Media actually posted an article saying that HBO Max was going to have content acquired by Warner Brothers that hasn't been released,
Right,
to
right,
be
right.
their program, HBO Max. I paid attention to all of that. And
Mm-hmm.
I just knew it was going to come out and it was going to be announced in May or April. And
Nice.
yeah, that's pretty much how I did it. And that helped to play into my philosophy of make every theory until, one of them is.
So you're kind of like that meme with that guy who's like putting all the threads together, like that picture that we see in most of the
Yeah,
memes.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you. It just shows how passionate you are, and it shows how much you wanted this movie to come out. So speaking of the
Right.
movie to come out, so where were you when the Snyder Cut was announced? Zack Snyder's Justice League.
So I I was on the stream. I was watching Man of Steel with Zack Snyder. That's what I was doing. And when Zack Snyder showed hashtag release the Snyder Cut, I didn't know what to say. When he announced it, I did not know what to say. Was I going to post on Instagram about it? This changed everything. This changed my account, the way that I was going to go into the future. I knew that there was no trouble in supporting, there was barely any drama supporting the DCEU anymore because Zack is back. He's creating his movie. Everything was almost fine. It was like, what do I tweet? Do I just start freaking out, just saying, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming? Or
Right.
who am I going to tell? I go to every one of my group chats and just say, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Everyone already got the idea. I
Mhm.
didn't know what to say, what anyone else was already saying. So I literally got out of my chair and was just screaming because it just felt impossible. We were talking about all of us. We were talking about releasing a movie that Warner Brothers never wanted to be released.
Mhm.
We were talking about them releasing a movie that was in a vault for so long, not even that long, just 3 years.
Mhm.
But we were trying to release a movie that Warner Brothers definitely not want to release.
Mhm.
We literally did something in Hollywood that just was completely crazy. And the thing is that everyone will say that this was done with the Richard Donner cut. I'm just like, yeah, in 20 years, we did the same thing in 3 years.
Right.
We got something, we got something that's completely different. We got a new Justice League movie, just like that.
Right.
Like, we have a movie that can potentially be the ultimate savior of the connected DCEU universe.
Right.
The thing
Right.
is that we really did the impossible.
Right.
We got the Snyder Cut released, and that is something that just doesn't happen. You
Right.
know,
Right.
like you know,
Yeah, completely. It's kind of like it's like a full circle. It's the fans that saved the Justice League or the DCEU as a whole.
right, right. It really was. Like we, like, look, uh, sorry, just drinking water.
No, 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 that's fine. That's fine.
Like the thing is with these movies is that that Justice League was so problematic.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very problematic film. Like Zack Snyder left the project, but they still put his name on the film to like completely like cover up that Josh Whedon reshot the whole movie.
Like
They still put
they
his
set up
name as
Snyder to take the blunt of the criticism.
right, right. They did that. So if they were clearly trying to make this like they were clearly trying to cover up their corruption, the thing is that we got a studio that completely created a corrupt mess of Justice League, a corporate mess. It's the ultimate studio movie. And we
Right.
got them to release an artistic director's movie out of those ashes that was Justice League.
The
The thing
thing
is that
Yeah, the thing. Well, sorry to interrupt. It's just that Justice League is such a big IP that you cannot just but just butcher it with your studio bullshit and expect the fans of the IP to just let it go.
right, the thing is that they were trying to be like Marvel. They thought that if they just take this very, very different kind of movie, Justice League, a Zack Snyder movie, like Zack Snyder movies are very like, philosophical and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, it
They
makes
thought
you
that
think.
they
It
could,
makes you think.
right, they thought that they could take that kind of movie and just probably just cut out a few scenes like they did with Batman v Superman. I feel like they were like, no, this will not take just cutting out a few scenes. This will take reshooting the entire movie.
Which they
They
did.
thought that
Mhm.
right, right, they did. The thing is that they thought that it would take like the thing is that they thought that it was just so easy just to fix a Zack Snyder movie. They were trying to quote unquote fix an artistic movie
Mhm.
because they were trying to do it to a Zack Snyder movie.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like that also added to its failure because we knew as fans that the difference between like how Zack Snyder makes his movies, like it's very different from anyone else. It's like his movies are very visually driven,
Yeah.
Like the story is in the visuals.
Right.
So like we as fans knew exactly what they were doing. Like they pretty much reshot the whole movie. They added jokes. They wanted this to be like the MCU pretty much. They
Exactly.
wanted this to be their
Exactly.
$1 billion movie. And at face value, they pretty much did exactly what the MCU did.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they weren't masters of it.
Right.
Disney, Kevin Feige, they are masters at taking directors' visions and ruining it.
Right.
Ruining it.
Right.
Like like they literally fired the director of Doctor Strange 2 and got him to say that don't worry, this isn't a big deal. It was just studio disagreements.
Right.
Like he isn't even coming out and saying that they totally want to butcher my movie. That's not what the director of Doctor Strange 2 is saying. He was covering up. The thing is that Kevin Feige, the
Right.
MCU empire, they're
Right.
masters of destroying these movies.
Right.
They're masters of destroying MCU movies. They're masters of getting directors to completely butcher their movies. That's the MCU.
Right.
But Warner Brothers is a well-known director-driven studio. That's what they're known as.
I mean, they
So
released
for
the Lord of the Rings, man.
right, right, like they were like, okay. why don't we do exactly what Marvel does and we just reshoot the entire movie and we just make it into this comedy? The thing is that it wasn't going to work like that. It would have never worked because these guys aren't masters at the craft. They're not
Right.
masters at getting the audience to like corporate stuff because the MCU is it's like almost 100% corporate. It's
Right.
almost a 100% corporate
Yeah,
process.
it's like a
You can
well-oiled machine. Right.
Right, you can tell because it's like every movie is the same. Every movie is making billions of dollars. These
Mm-hmm.
movies are just running so fine. It's because the company has mastered a way, Disney has mastered a way to destroy whatever the original directors was, like Edgar Wright's Ant-Man,
Right.
right? They destroyed Ant-Man, but they got away with it. Like James Gunn even said that there's a director's cut of Guardians of the Galaxy that exists but isn't released.
Right.
But Disney has butchered it. I'm 99% sure that they have contracts for contracts, getting these directors to sign just in case they want to like edit it down or whatever, that they cannot complain about it.
Yeah.
The thing is that Disney's are masters at the craft. Warner Brothers underestimated the entire crew under Justice League because the thing is that Justice League was a very different film.
Exactly.
During the production of Justice League, it was a film that each person on the job had a passion for. They had
Right.
a passion for this movie. They had a passion for making this movie. Zack Snyder had a passion for making this movie. That's why he was on Vero talking about how much detail that he put into his Justice League movie, not the studio's Justice League. He was talking about his Justice League movie, about the cast that he hired.
See,
He un-
the hypocrisy of the Zack Snyder's critics are the fact that they don't realize that Zack Snyder is a huge like DC fan. He's a huge comic book nerd, and he
you can
knows,
tell.
yeah, he
Oh,
knows these characters inside and out way more than
right.
even we do. Like I'm very good with Batman. Outside of Batman, I don't know much. So
That,
Zack really
that's
knows the
true.
deep cuts. He knows the deep cuts.
I'm surprised how far Zack Snyder went with Batman v Superman when it came to comic accuracy. He took elements of All Star Superman. He took elements of The Dark Knight Returns. He took elements from many Batman comics.
Hmm.
He just smushed it all into one big film, which was amazing in my opinion.
Right.
But like Batman v Superman, so like they underestimated the power of the crew behind Justice League because everyone was talking about scenes that got cut out. Everyone was talking about it because these people didn't sign on for a corporate mess.
Right.
They signed on to make a movie. They signed on to make a craft of a movie, a great movie. So when they saw that the movie that they were watching during the premiere wasn't great, they were like, no, I'm going to talk about how my scene was cut. The Steppenwolf actor is going to talk about how this wasn't the movie that he signed up for.
Yeah,
All that, like,
yeah. Everyone involved in the movie started criticizing the movie way before it even came out.
right, like Jason Momoa was saying that he wants the Snyder Cut to be released because all these actors and cast members, editors, composers, they all knew that this wasn't the movie that they made. This wasn't the movie that they were making.
Yeah,
That
Fabian
just
Wagner even came out and said that he cried when he saw the theatrical version
right,
because all of his
right,
hard work was thrown down the drain.
right. That's why when it comes to the theatrical version, I would say that that movie technically doesn't exist either because that's not the movie that was supposed to be released.
Exactly.
That's not the movie. That's not Zack Snyder's movie. That's not how a movie gets made. That's
Exactly.
never how a movie should ever get made.
Right.
Like when you make a movie, every person needs to be satisfied. Every editor, every person who's working on a movie needs to be satisfied with the final product. If someone isn't satisfied, then that if someone doesn't feel happy with their work, then why are you releasing that work? Like why are you trying to release a work that the director or the producer isn't proud of?
Right.
Like like what Warner Brothers did with Justice League was completely not how a movie should ever get made. Like Justice League, the Josh Whedon cut or whatever, that movie doesn't exist, and we are finally getting the real Justice League that should have came out in 2017. Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's coming, and I'm happy for everyone who worked on Justice League. You know?
Exactly. This is like kind of cathartic for them to finally get to see their 3 years of hard work finally be realized. Speaking of
Right.
which, like me personally, after like the last time I went back to the theaters was for the Last Jedi, and in between I went back and watched the Godzilla King of the Monsters because I'm a Godzilla fan as well. But other than
Right.
that, I have not gone back to the cinemas. It's sad that we're getting Zack Snyder's Justice League on HBO Max, but it's also a good thing because the stream wars have finally killed the access media, like the people solely responsible for destroying the DCU from the get-go.
Mhm.
They have no say in this. It's now the direct consumer relationships with HBO Max. Like I personally still will never trust Warner Brothers ever again, like regardless,
Mhm.
unless they really like get rid of Toby Emmerich and all the people that I have labeled as traitors to the Snyderverse. Unless
Mhm.
they're all axed, like Jeff Johns and many many
Well,
many people who are still there. Regardless, the fact that we have finally made it to the finish line, or in a way the starting line, to save the DCEU and Snyderverse, we did it, and it was, and I want all the viewers to know that yes, some of us did more than others. Some of us just tweeted. Some of us, contributed as much as they could given their financial circumstances. But
right.
regardless of how much you did, we were all equally part of it.
Right.
So in that retrospect, if to me, regardless of all the camps that are forming right now, everyone is a Snyder Spartan to me, and we all fought this battle together, and we won.
Right.
And
Right.
now, depending on how you see it, this is the either the finish line or the starting line,
Mhm.
and we all have to show up. We did what we did, and now we have to do everything in our power to make sure that Zack Snyder's Justice League is a financial success. And the quickest
Right.
way to do that for every one of you who are in America is to sign up for
Mhm.
HBO Max. And if it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray, I plan to buy more than 10 copies just for myself. And even like
Yeah.
people outside the USA, there are ways to get around it. You can get a proper like VPN, and then subscribe to HBO Max if you have the like credit cards or whatever, however you can get the money across. So there are ways for you to do it, and I advise everyone to show up. So
Mhm.
before we close off the show, I just want to ask you, like, what's your opinion moving forward? Like, what do you think is going to happen after the Zack Snyder's Justice League? Do you think the Snyderverse is back in full swing?
Well, the thing is that I feel like we're in a rebirth of the Snyderverse. The old
Okay.
Snyderverse it is over. Like the old Snyderverse is, I mean, it's kind of, I feel bad for saying that it's dead, but Warner Brothers did kill the old Snyderverse.
The
We will
original
never
slate, the original slate.
right. We will never see the original Flash movie. We will never see the original Cyborg movie. We will never see Justice League Part 1, the original Vision. We will never see the original Justice League Part 2.
Right.
But but we are in a rebirth of the DCU. We are in a rebirth of the Snyderverse.
Right.
If Zack's like we are in like Flashpoint is going to have Jeffrey D. Morgan's Batman. High chance he's going to be in there. Cyborg is going to be in the Flashpoint movie, and the thing is that I feel like because of all these elements, because Flashpoint feels like the movie that's going to jumpstart the DCU. It's going to be the next Batman v Superman. And
Mm-hmm.
because of that, I feel like Justice League 2, if it ever gets made, it just might be a revised version of Zack Snyder's original Justice League Part 2.
Right.
Like difference maybe is that Shazam might be in the nightmare or whatever. Like, the thing is that AT&T loved Zack Snyder's plan. Zack Snyder showed AT&T the entire plan. He showed AT&T the 5-part arc. He didn't just show AT&T Zack Snyder's Justice League. He showed them everything. So the thing is that I don't think that the DCU just relies on Zack Snyder's Justice League to succeed. Because like people need to see Zack Snyder's Justice League if we're ever gonna get Justice League Part 2. A lot of people need to go see it because like
Right.
that's going to be the defining movie in the DCU. But
Right.
another defining movie in the DCU, it's going to be Flashpoint. That's going to be the movie that's going to jumpstart the DCEU. It's going to bring it back. We might even get we have a high chance of getting Justice League 2. Like I do feel like in my spirit that we will get it. Like there's going to be something to happen in the coming years after Zack Snyder's Justice League. And Zack Snyder, there's a high chance he's going to be a producer on Justice League 2. Like I don't know if he's going to direct. Maybe, maybe not. There's a chance that he will. Maybe he's going to want to work on Man of Steel 2 or whatever.
Right.
But like the thing is that the DCEU, it's being revived. It's going to be better than ever because I feel like it's going to be in Zack Snyder's philosophy of how he wanted the DCEU to be.
Right.
He wanted the directors to make their movies while being canon to a universe. It doesn't have to be Elseworlds. It doesn't have to be 100% in continuity.
Right.
It's
Like I have the original slate up on screen right now, and if you see the timeline, we had Man of Steel in 2013, we had Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad in 2016, we had Wonder Woman and
right,
Justice League Part 1 in 2017.
right,
We had The Flash, Aquaman, and an untitled DC film in 2018. We had Shazam and Justice League Part 2 in 2019, and we had the Cyborg movie and the Green Lantern Corps in 2020.
right. If I'm right, then Green Lantern Corps, well, the Green Lantern show on HBO Max will most definitely connect to the Snyder Cut. Like, let's think about this here. We're getting Zack Snyder's Justice League first, and then a year later, we're going to get the Green Lantern Corps HBO Max show. That feels very coincidental, don't you think? That just feels like the same timeline of Justice League, the real Justice League, and the Green Lantern Corps movie. Now, I feel like HBO Max in the DCU is going to play a big factor on the future of the overall DC universe. And, like, I'm on board, really, because I'm happy to see that we got Zack back. Like, they're not going to, like, if Zack has an idea for DCU, they're not going to shut him down. They're not going to do that again. They already know what happens if they try to shut his ideas down.
Right.
Like, they will listen to Zack Snyder now. I just feel like they won't, like, tell him to get out of the building if he has an idea for Flashpoint or whatever. They will listen to him. And the fact is that we have a cooperating universe now. There's no we haven't seen any scandals with directors in a long time.
Right.
I feel like the DCEU is back to where it's supposed to be. We may even get a Ben Affleck Batman HBO Max series.
Oh
like,
man, if that happens, I'm gonna
yeah,
really lose my shit. I'm really gonna
right.
lose my shit.
I mean, I won't say there's a high chance. There's probably like a 60% chance that it's gonna happen. But if they make it an HBO Max series, I'm sure they could get Ben Affleck back. They don't have to even make it multiple series. They can just shoot it in like 6 months or so. Like they can really make the DCU like the DCEU again, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
it won't be exactly like the old DCU. It will not be like Zack Snyder's original DCU plan, but this will be the rebirth of the DCU. It will have Zack Snyder elements in it. Zack Snyder will have a play in the new DCU,
Right.
but DCU is back. We will be getting a new universe coming, a new Snyder universe, and I'm just happy for it because let's be honest here. There's no way that HBO Max, AT&T will put $60 million into Zack Snyder's Justice League if they didn't believe that this will come, if this won't expand the DCU. Like, the thing is that Flash does time travel in Zack Snyder's Justice League. He
Right.
does time travel in Flashpoint. This is going to be a big saga coming. Like, and I feel like they are really ready to take down Marvel now. Like I feel like they learned their lesson from the past. Like, I get that you don't trust Warner Brothers. I don't trust any studio. I don't trust any corporate organization, to be honest. Like,
Exactly.
every corporate business is corrupt. Like,
Right.
this is just something that we have to learn, that the only interest the board members have is making money and increasing their shares.
Right.
So, like, we cannot ever trust the studio or a company 100%, but like, I feel like now that there is a chance that we will be getting a true DC universe.
No, yeah, exactly. So for me personally, I'm with you. I love the optimism. I love the positivity. I hope everything that you're saying comes to fruition. But
I, I never
for
I never
me,
really said uh
yeah.
what I
Sorry, go on.
okay, what I always say about my hope and optimism, I'm not optimistic and I'm not pessimistic,
Right,
because I have said that there's a chance that the Snyder Cut will come unfinished.
right,
So I'm not optimistic and I'm not pessimistic. I'm
right,
just looking at everything at face value, and I'm
right,
saying what I believe, that there's a chance of happening. I'm trying to think realistic here. I'm like I'm sure that they threw Zack Snyder with all kinds of things during those months of like signing negotiations and all kinds of stuff. I'm
right,
sure Zack Snyder had to like go through all kinds of trials during that time.
right,
But the thing is that we're still getting Zack Snyder's Justice League. That
right.
is impossible. It still feels
It
impossible
feels
that
like
we
a
got.
dream. It feels like a dream.
Right. It still feels like a dream. You cannot deny that the fact that we got Zack Snyder's Justice League is crazy. So the fact that we got Zack Snyder's Justice League means anything is possible for the DCU at this point.
Right. Well, for me personally, right now, I'm keeping my expectations very, how do you say? I'm keeping it up till Zack Snyder's Justice League, because it is after, after the movie comes out that we'll actually know exactly what's happening. Because I know for a fact, and I know if you're listening, Mr. Toby Emmerich, I know you're salty about the whole situation. I know Patty Jenkins, Jeff Johns, and a lot of people who who moved on, in quotations, who moved on. They're not really happy about this happening. Like, I was watching the views on the teaser trailer that Zack Snyder released. In 3 days, it nearly crossed, like, 18 million. So
Uh,
in 6 months run of Wonder Woman 84, it did around nearly 30 million views, and in 3 days, Zack Snyder's teaser, a 34-second teaser, has nearly half the views. So there in itself, it tells you a lot about where Zack Snyder stands when it comes to DCEU. So yeah, let's. It's over an hour now, an hour and 40 minutes. So if people want to reach you, Kalio, so tell them where they can reach you, so on and so forth. Go on.
right. Uh you can find me at Kalio1456 on Twitter. That's where you can find my Twitter. My YouTube is the I just did come prepared. I never do. You can find me at Kalio CBM Talks on YouTube. Ever since the Snyder Cut came out, I have been posting way less. I haven't posted at all, really. Like, things have I just don't really know what to talk about, really. Like, ever since the Snyder Cut came out, but find me there.
And
You
you
can
have a
find me.
new podcast, right?
Right, right. You can find me on the DC Geeks Nation. It's on like it's ad on Twitter is to see DC.
Yeah, don't worry. I will put in all the links in the description of this video when it goes live on YouTube.
Okay.
So yeah,
You
so all the links to get in touch with Kalio, it will be up there.
right.
So I hope you enjoyed our session, our DCU Adda session, which in my local lingo means like just a conversation, just a hangout.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much for being on the show, Kalio, and to all the viewers who've been with us for so long. If you have reached it till the end, thank you for being with us. Subscribe to KuziCast. There'll be more Spartans to look forward to. And till next time, all right, take care.
Hmm.